To understand the various type of filters, let's first understand what in the world is a filter. Well, filters are corrective parameters used to cut out certain frequencies in a sound and also used to make space in a mix for other instruments to pop out. There are four primary types of filters: low pass filter, band pass filter, notch filter, and high pass filter. And there are scattering of other filters as well, like comb filter, Formant filter, phaser filter, ladder filter, etc. Alright peeps, so here we have vital with a simple saw wave. Nothing engaged in the envelope generator, nothing engaged in the LFO section. There's only one oscillator that is going on. Now I'm going to be processing it through a third-party plugin, which is Hellozzz. This little guy is amazing, Hellozzz filter. It's just easier to use and very visually appealing also. So let's look at the first filter, which is a low pass filter. And I had briefly touched upon this in my previous video about sound designing and how you can make your own sound in a synthesizer. If you haven't checked that out, there's a link right there. Just click on it, maybe you'll learn something. So the first one is a low pass filter, and this essentially cuts out all of the higher frequencies and sends out only the lower frequencies. So if I'm telling this plugin that, hey, do not send any frequency above 654 hertz, so it's going to cut all of the frequency which are above 654 hertz. So let's hear that. So you saw how it kind of eliminated all of the higher frequencies, and it's only passing all of the lower frequencies so that it's more warm. Moving on to the next filter, which is a band pass filter. Now this, as you can see visually, it only sends those frequencies which are in that small little mountain curve and cuts out all of the highs and the lows. So these are particularly used, as far as I use it in all of my sends channel, in reverbs and delays, because it kind of cuts out all of the higher frequency and the lower muddiness. It's not that harsh to your ears. So you can in fact use this in any instrument. That's a band pass filter. Moving on, the high pass filter. This is the opposite of a low pass filter, and it only sends the higher frequencies and cut off all of the lower frequencies. Usually these are used in female vocals or hi-hats, shakers, cymbals, to bring out that brightness of the sound. Doesn't sound that pleasant in a saw wave, I know, but this is just a demonstration. I'll be showing you how to use all of these in an actual song. I'll be pulling up my own song and you'll be hearing it. So moving on to the next one, this is a notch filter or a band reject filter, and this is an opposite to a band pass filter. So it essentially cuts all of the frequencies that you define through the cutoff knob, that range of frequencies, and only pushes the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies. Usually these are used in some of the vocals, male vocals. I use it in male vocals because there are few mid ranges or few vocal tonalities which you essentially don't want, and you just need the bassiness and the brightness of that vocal. So I usually use these notch filters. And also, very interestingly, notch filters are used to create sign compression and bass design, and we'll dive deep into that into later videos. So I can just show you that effect right now. So you saw a little kind of like a movement or a growly neuro bass kind of thing that is going on. The second knob that essentially defines a filter is a Q factor, and Q factor is nothing but it defines how much of a bandwidth of the filter that you want to push. If you see in this notch filter, if I'm increasing the Q, it kind of narrows down the notch, and if you're decreasing the Q factor, it kind of opens up more, so the bandwidth increases, and that's essentially with every kind of filter. Now if you see, if I push the Q factor above 0.91, you start to see a little bulge over here. This is called resonance, like the one that I discussed in my previous video. Few of the filters do have a resonance knob separately. Few of them are inbuilt in this cube. You can increase and then it kind of gives that ringiness. So let's go ahead and now check out the lesser known kind of filters that I spoke about earlier in this video. These are like comb filter, formant filter, ladder filter, phaser filter. These are not widely used in music production, but essentially you can play around with them, create different textures, very interesting sounds. So the first one I have pulled up, Formant, and these are essentially vowels. So A, E, I, O, U. So you can see kind of like a saw wave is generating an A, O, E, I kind of sound. Very interesting kind of filter. The next one is a comb filter. And why is it called a comb filter? Because it looks like a comb. So essentially what it does is it kind of pushes and cuts certain frequencies in the harmonic range of a sound. So there are various harmonics, the first fundamental, the second fundamental, and all of those, and it kind of pushes and boosts certain frequencies and then cuts, so it gives that gritty feel. Let's look at the phaser, and essentially it acts like a phaser. So it's interesting how you can essentially automate the cutoff and create a phaser sound without using a phaser plugin. So let's look at the ladder filter, and it essentially is a step-by-step downward slope. And not all synthesizers will have this kind of filter, but it's interesting to have. So that's about it. And one more important thing that I want to discuss are the type of slope. Some might have a 6 dB, a 12 dB written, or a 24 dB. Now, what are these? These are essentially decibels reduction per octave at that cutoff. So if I have to select an analog filter, and let's say if I have 12 dB per octave reduction, I would say that I am putting a cutoff somewhere here. I'm saying the downward slope should be gradual so that it has a step-by-step 12 dB reduction per octave till 0. The slope is pretty gradual. And if I have to increase it to a 24 dB, essentially I'm saying there's a 24 dB reduction per octave. So instead of a 12 dB, it's double the number. So you have an interesting effect to the sound. This is 12 dB. So these are present in any of the filters. Some synthesizer, like I said, will have a 6 dB per octave cut, and those are much more gradual kind of slope, and you can really have interesting effects with pads, especially in a 6 dB per octave reduction. So here I have an example of one of my own tracks called Don't Know. It's on Spotify, Apple Music. If you want to listen, go ahead, check it out. Let me know in the comments down below if you like it or not. But I used it in the drum section so that it kind of tucks in and creates that space in that music. So let's hear it with the track. All right, so that was like a auto filter which was going in the drums, and let's kind of hear it with only the drums. So that's one way that you can use the filter. You can actually create that ducky feel and create that vibe. So here's another example of how I used filters to open up the pads and also use it in bass growls. And this is one of my upcoming track. It's going to be releasing in few weeks, and it's a future garagey chill out track. Let's hear the whole track till the drop section and notice how the filter kind of automates and changes the sounds. So that's one way that you can use the filters, and I kind of use the filter to open up the pads. So let's hear it from this section, only the solo of the pads and the drums. Okie dokie guys, that's it for this video. Hope you learned something out of this. Go ahead, experiment as much as you can, go crazy with the filters, learn the different kind of filters, and make use in designing various kind of sounds your own way. If you like this video, consider subscribing, give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to press the notification bell to stay updated with my upcoming releases. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, cheers.